Chapter 1, The Beginning of 10th Grade. The bell rang, signaling the start of the school year. Tara took her seat in the familiar classroom, the smell of fresh textbooks mixing with the anticipation of new beginnings. She glanced around, noticing the usual faces, including Alisha, who sat in front of her. Just as Tara was about to pull out her notebook, she saw Arjun walk in. He looked around, spotted the empty seat next to her, and made his way over. They had known each other for over a year, but they never really talked. It was more like they existed in parallel worlds, only connected by their older siblings. Last year, Tara and Arjun had discovered their elder siblings, Rahul and Anjali, had become inseparable best friends. Despite their family's closeness, Tara and Arjun remained distant. As Tara sat down, Alisha turned around and smiled. Being her usual narcissistic self, she began to talk about herself to the both of them. Seeing the awkward silence between, she said,
"You both don't talk? Your families are so close. Why don't you both talk?"
I guess we don't.
Tara felt a pang of embarrassment, but also curiosity. She glanced at Arjun, who shrugged with a small smile, his voice soft but clear. Tara smiled back, feeling a warmth spread through her. No one had ever made such long eye contact with her or smiled at her like that.
Maybe we should start.
From that moment on, a new chapter began in their lives. What started as a simple question from Alisha became the spark that ignited a bond between Tara and Arjun, one that would grow stronger over the years. Arjun always seemed calm and quiet. He has fair skin and small eyes that look very serious behind his glasses, but are surprisingly very magnetic. His lips are full, but he doesn't smile a lot. But when he does, his eyes squint up just like Tara. He mostly keeps to himself and doesn't talk too much, but when he does, it's usually something funny. He prefers to stay in his own world and doesn't care much about what other people think and likes to argue about different ideas. He never gets too emotional about anything. However, Arjun's aloofness can make him difficult to read. He's not easily swayed by emotions, and even in close friendships, he maintains his boundary, keeping certain parts of himself hidden. This, combined with his calm, often detached nature, makes him seem like someone who doesn't let others in too deeply, even when they wish to get close. Even though he looks lonely from a third person's point of view, no one really knows what he's really thinking. While Tara is always exploring new ideas, projects, and hobbies, whether it's working on social media content, writing stories, poetry, or diving into creative endeavors like music and meditation, her passion for learning and creating stands out in a variety of things. Whether it's playing instruments, writing stories, songs, or getting lost in meditation practices like astral travel. She is also a huge fan of Sailor Swift, music is a big part of her life. She is quite tall and wears glasses that she breaks or throws at every minor inconvenience in her life. She didn't have many friends in her class, and the ones she did were all caught up in romantic relationships. There was Sonia, who was Tara's childhood friend, who was dating Manish. They both were a very problematic couple who always landed themselves in some kind of trouble. Tara always felt out of place around them, like an awkward third wheel, never quite fitting into the world of couples and crushes. It was Manish who had become a centerpiece of their social circle. Tara's only friend in her class were Sonia and Manish's friends. That's how she rekindled with Alisha.
How about Arav for a boy? It's simple, classy, and has a nice ring to it.
Arav? Seriously? Everyone and their dog is named Arav? I want something unique, like Kian. Strong, short.
Kian sounds like some kind of superhero.
Why am I in here for this?
Come on, Tara, help us. You're so creative with names. Throw us some.
Tara, if you don't want to be here, just leave. No one's forcing you to sit with us.
Oh, trust me, I would leave in a heartbeat if I could. But you guys dragged me here. Remember? Something about quality time or whatever. You know what, Manish? You're right. My time is precious. So enjoy your little name game.
Tara, wait. Don't. Why do you always have to be so aggressive? She's like your sister, for God's sake.
She needs to learn how to give us some space. She's always with us.
Or maybe she's just lonely, Manish. Did you ever think of that?
One more of the reasons she hated spending time with the both of them and stopped sitting around them. She was tired of all their drama. Thank God the teachers made everyone sit roll number wise this year. She was happy with Alisha, Ajay, and Arjun around her. They were not really her friends, but way better than Sonia, Manish, and their friends. They often chatted and laughed around. Alisha really made Arjun and Tara come close. Chapter 2. One crisp morning, as the school assembly gathered for the daily prayer, Arjun stayed seated, as he always did. Tara noticed and, with a gentle tug on his sleeves, whispered,
Come on, Arjun, stand up. It's just for a few minutes.
You know I don't believe this stuff.
You know, if you ever actually listen to the prayer, you might find it soothing.
And if you ever skipped it, you might find you have more time to sleep in.
Despite their opposing beliefs, Arjun found himself respecting Tara's convictions. Even when they disagreed, he admired her dedication. Their mornings often started with Arjun entering in class extremely late and Tara insisting on Arjun's participation in the prayer, followed by a playful banter about their different. Their friendship their friendship grew stronger with each passing day. They shared their lunch breaks, discussed homework. Arjun asked Tara to underline in her books and laughed at her silly little doodles. Tara's friends noticed the change and often teased her about her new best friend, but she didn't mind. Arjun had become an integral part of her life. As the days went by, Tara and Arjun found themselves spending more and more time together. Their initial conversation, sparked by Alisha's question, began to evolve into deeper, more meaningful discussions. It did not take long for them to realize just how different they were. Arjun was a fervent supporter of a political party that championed social justice and equality, while Tara leaned towards a more conservative party believing in traditional values and economic growth. The debates on politics were heated, each defending their stance passionately. One afternoon, as they sat under a tree in the schoolyard, Arjun asked,
Tara, why do you believe in all this stuff so much? Religion, politics.
Because it gives me hope. It makes me feel like I'm part of something bigger, something meaningful.
I guess I just see the world differently. I believe in what I can see and touch.
Their conversations were not just limited to their differences. They talked about their dreams, their families, and their fears. Tara confided in Arjun about her struggles with maths, and he helped her with her homework. Tara shared her love for music and introduced him to her favorite books. They laughed together, argued passionately, and supported each other through the ups and downs of school life. Despite their differences, they found a common ground and respect for one another. One evening, as they walked home together, Arjun said,
You know, Tara, I never thought I'd be friends with someone so different from me.
I know, but I'm glad we are.
Their bond was a testament to the idea that true friendship could bridge even the widest of gaps. Tara and Arjun were living proof that opposites do attract, and sometimes those differences make the connections even stronger. Next morning, Tara and Arjun, again next to each other, were sitting in English class on the first bench when the English teacher screamed at Manish and Sonia. They had been caught creating a ruckus. The teacher, clearly flabbergasted, ordered them to switch seats with Tara and Arjun, the duo, to the last bench. As Tara and Arjun reluctantly gathered their belongings and moved to the back, they couldn't help but feel a mix of curiosity and excitement. The last bench had always been a mysterious territory, often associated with whispered conversations and secretive notes. Settling into their seats, Tara noticed a folded piece of paper tucked under the desk. She discreetly opened it, revealing a doodle of a superhero with a caption, Last Bench Legends. Arjun leaned over, chuckling at the drawing.
Looks like you've joined an elite club.
He whispered. Throughout the class, Tara and Arjun found themselves more engaged than ever. From their new vengeance point, they observed the dynamics of the classroom with fresh eyes. They noticed the subtle interactions between the classmates, the quiet exchange of notes, and the occasional stifled laughter. During a particular dull lecture, Arjun nudged Tara and pointed to the window. Outside, a group of birds had gathered on a tree branch, seemingly having a lively discussion of their own. That was when Naman, one of Arjun's friends, suggested switching seats.
Tara, can you sit with someone else? I want to sit here.
Why would she go? She's My friend.
His words made Tara's heart skip a beat, but she brushed it off, not wanting to read much into it. As the days passed by, Arjun began asking Tara more and more personal questions.
Could she go? What's your favorite subject?
English. I love the way words can paint pictures and tell stories.
What about your favorite book?
Their conversation grew deeper with each question. Tara felt herself falling for Arjun.
No, I'm falling in love with him.
The air was filled with excitement and anticipation for the summer vacation. Tara and Arjun spent their afternoons in the comfort of their homes, playing video games. The more time Tara spent with Arjun, the more she felt a flutter in her heart, something she couldn't quite explain. One evening, as they were battling virtual monsters, Tara found herself stealing glances at Arjun. She couldn't help but think.
Oh no, I'm really starting to like him. What's happening to me?
The realization was both thrilling and terrifying. She had never felt this way about anyone before. During the summer break, Tara tried to push her feelings aside, convincing herself that this was just a fleeting crush.
It's just a normal attraction. Nothing serious.
By the time school resumed, she had managed to bury those feelings deep within her, determined to keep things as they were. She thought, panic rising, she needed a distraction, something to prevent her from getting hurt. Tara decided to participate in the Independence Day Music Festival, channeling her emotions in her music. She found herself drawn to the drummer, a charismatic boy with a smile that lit up the room.
A new crush. This is it.
The drummer, Rahul, was talented and kind, and Tara felt a spark. She confided in Arjun about her new crush, hoping to distance herself from the feelings for him.
Hey beautiful, what class are you in? I haven't seen you here.
I'm in 10th. Rahul's amazing. I think I like him.
That's great, Tara.
If I fall in love with Arjun, it will ruin everything.
Tara felt a pang of sadness, but she convinced herself it was for the best. She believed Arjun would never return her feelings, certain he was gay because of his interest in gay romance books and films. Despite her efforts to move on, Tara couldn't shake the sadness that lingered. Arjun too seemed distant, and their once effortless conversations felt strained. They both were trying to protect their friendship, but in doing so, they were breaking their own hearts. Chapter 4, Misunderstandings and Heartbreak. Determined to distance herself from Arjun, Tara began spending more time with Alisha. She found solace in Alisha's company, but couldn't shake the guilt that gnawed her. She was avoiding Arjun. Every day she talked about Rahul, hoping to convince herself and everyone else that her feelings for Arjun were in the past. Despite her efforts, Arjun's persistence made it difficult for Tara to stay away.
Yes, I want to sit with you.
He asked every morning, even though he knew her schedule by heart. Tara would smile and give the same answer, but inside, she felt a pang of regret. Arjun's concern and small gestures of kindness made it hard for her to push him away. He sent her homework assignments without being asked, checked in on her during breaks, and always seemed to find a reason to talk to her. One afternoon, and after an intense practice session, Tara's world came crashing down. She found out that Rahul already had a girlfriend. The news hit her like a punch to the gut, and she felt a wave of despair wash over her. She ran home, tears streaming down her face, and tore through her journal, ripping out the pages filled with poems and thoughts about Rahul. The pain was too much to bear. Among the torn pages, she found poems she had written for Arjun, memories she had tried to bury. Arjun noticed her distress the next day and approached her gently.
Tara, what's wrong?
I found out Rahul has a girlfriend. It hurts. Arjun, it really hurts.
Sorry, Tara, but you deserve someone who appreciates you, not someone who already has someone else.
Alisha also offered her support, comforting Tara through her heartbreak. Despite their best efforts, Tara couldn't shake the feeling that Arjun saw her as someone who toyed with people's emotions. As October rolled in, the school buzzed with excitement for the Olympiads. Tara and Arjun walked to the Olympiad room together every day, their bond growing stronger with each shared moment.
Arjun always waited for Tara and she waited for him, their routine becoming a cherished part of their day. As boards came closer, the teachers grew more serious, segregating students into category of passing and failing. Tara and Arjun found themselves among the passing students. Despite the change, they continued to sit together, sharing their thoughts and dreams during breaks and after school. Chapter 6: Confessions and Consequences. But one day, Tara sat with Alisha, and Arjun ended up sitting with Devi. Tara couldn't handle it. Jealousy flared inside her. Arjun was only supposed to share his book with her, no one else. Frustrated, she confided in Devi and Alisha about the feelings for Arjun. Soon the news started to spread, and Tara panicked. She didn't want Arjun to hear it from someone else, so she made up her mind to tell him herself. She took a leap of faith and decided to give Arjun a letter confessing her feelings. The next morning, Arjun and Tara were sent together to the medical room for a checkup, but Tara didn't tell him the real reason. Later, Devi and Alisha asked Tara when she would give Arjun the letter. Tara replied,
In math class.
So Devi and Alisha switched seats, allowing Tara and Arjun to sit next to each other. During maths class, Tara invited Arjun to the library, jokingly saying,
Our siblings called us there.
Way, they must be joking.
As they sat close together, their legs touched, and Tara felt a rush of emotions, but couldn't bring herself to say anything. After class, Alisha and Devi encouraged Arjun to go and talk to Tara. He found her in a different section, talking to her friends and panicking.
Tara, are you okay?
Arjun, I'm fine. Just a bit overwhelmed.
Seeing her distress, Arjun decided to give her some space and walked away. Realizing she couldn't wait any longer, Tara handed the letter to Devi, saying,
Please give this to Arjun for me.
Yeah, sure, I will.
Devi delivered it to Arjun during the class. The moment he read Tara's heartfelt words, a smile spread across his face. He couldn't help but read it again and again, savoring each line. Finally, he whispered to himself, his heart racing with emotions he couldn't quite define.
Tara, Arjun wants to see you.
Finally, he spotted her, hiding behind a curtain.
Tara, what have you written?
I just,
Arjun sat down beside her, his expression gentle.
Tara, everything will be fine. You pray for telling me. Don't worry, I will go in sometime.
Tara nodded, tears welling in her eyes. Arjun brushed a tear from her cheek.
Tara, I'm not saying no because saying no means saying no, but I'm not saying no. We're just kids. We can't handle a relationship right now.
Their classmates, Gopal and Ali, looked behind in shock.
Hey, look ahead, gentlemen. Let me talk to my girl.
With those words, he handed the letter back to her. Tara took it, her heart swelling with mixed emotions. From that day on, Arjun withdrew, barely talking to Tara. The once inseparable friends now passed each other in silence. Tara felt a deep ache in her heart, wondering if she had ruined everything. November brought a coldness that settled deep in Tara's heart. Since the day of her confession, Arjun had been avoiding her with an intensity that stung more than she had anticipated. Everywhere she went, he seemed to disappear, running away from her as if she were the plague. In the hallways, during the lunch breaks, and even in their favorite spots, Arjun was nowhere to be found. If their paths did cross, Arjun would immediately change direction, fleeing as fast as he could. His avoidance was bland, and Tara felt the weight of it in every moment they were apart. Despite his efforts, they couldn't escape the reality of their pre-boards. The seating arrangement meant they had to sit next to each other, but their conversations were minimal, reduced to monosyllabic exchanges about the subjects they were forced to share. Chapter 7, November, the pre-boards. The classroom buzzed with nervous energy as students filled the pre-board exams. Tara took her seat, her heart heavy with the knowledge that Arjun would soon join her. When he arrived, he barely glanced her way, his focus entirely on the exam papers in front of him. Tara tried to concentrate on her own work, but the tension between them was palpable. She could sense his discomfort. The way he shifted in his seat and kept his gaze firmly on his paper. Their once effortless friendship had been replaced by a thick silence. Every now and then, Tara would steal a glance at Arjun, hoping to catch his eye to find some semblance of their friendship that they once had. But each time he remained resolute in his avoidance, his expression unreadable. Outside the exam room, Tara found herself yearning to bridge the gap between them. She tried to reach out in various ways, sending him messages that went unanswered, attempting to catch him in the hallway, only to watch him slip away, always just out of reach. She poured her heart into letters, scribbling down her thoughts and feelings in hopes that he might read them and understand the mayhem she was in. But every effort seemed useless. Arjun remained distant, a shadow of the friend he once was. Their classmates noticed the change, whispering amongst themselves about the rift that had formed between Tara and Arjun. Some speculated on the cause, while others simply watched with a mixture of curiosity and sympathy. Tara's days grew lonelier. As November wore on, she found herself seeking solace in her studies, immersing herself in books and notes to distract her from the ache in her heart. The warmth of her friendships with others couldn't fill the void left by Arjun's absent. Despite the growing distance, Tara held on to a glimmer of hope. She believed that somehow they would find their way back to each other, navigating the cold days of November with a heavy heart. November was a month of heartbreak for Tara. The Diwali festival at school was supposed to be a joyous occasion, but for Tara, it turned into a nightmare. She dressed up beautifully in traditional attire, hoping to catch Arjun's attention. However, Arjun didn't even glance at her way. Instead, he continued to avoid her like she was invisible. Tara spent her entire day babysitting their younger brothers, all the while trying to hold back tears. She felt humiliated and heartbroken, crying silently to herself as she realized how much she still cared for Arjun. She left her friends Vatika, Ritika, and Amaya for that stupid boy. Despite her efforts to talk to him, Arjun remained distant, ignoring her completely. As she returned home, she discovered that both her brother and Arjun's sister had been selected for a local dance tournament. The face-offs were scheduled every Sunday, and Tara's heart leapt at the thought of seeing Arjun there. The first Sunday, Tara arrived at the venue, her heart racing with anticipation. She watched as the teams assembled, scanning the crowd for any sign of Arjun. Her brother waved at her from sidelines, but her eyes were fixed on the entrance, hoping to see Arjun walk through. As the game commenced, Tara's excitement faded into disappointment. She tried to focus on the match, cheering for her brother, but her thoughts kept drifting back to Arjun. After the game, she walked home slowly, her mind replaying their last conversation and wondering what had changed. The obsessive Sunday routine. The following Sundays followed a similar pattern. Tara would arrive at the venue, her heart filled with hope, only to leave disappointed. Arjun's absence was a constant ache, and she couldn't shake the feeling he was avoiding her purposefully. Each week, she would sit in the stands, her eyes darting around in search of him. She began to develop a routine, spying on the field, taking screenshot of the list that might include Arjun's name, and sharing her findings with her friends. Her obsession grew, and she found herself looking for any scrap of information about him, desperate for a connection. One Sunday, Tara finally saw Arjun. He was standing at the edge of the stage, talking to his brother. Her heart skipped a beat, and for a moment, she considered walking over to him, but her self-respect held her back. She stayed rooted to her spot, watching him from a distance. The siblings called out to them, drawing attention from the crowd. Tara's mother approached Arjun's mother, and the familiar question echoed across the field. The same question that had sparked their friendship in the first place. Tara and Arjun exchanged a glance and a small hesitant smile. The question hung in the air, a reminder of what they had lost and what could still be. As the weeks passed, Tara's routine became almost ritualistic. She would arrive at the venue, scan the crowd, and settle in for the game. She would look for any signs of him, hoping that he might finally show up. On the last Sunday of the tournament, Tara felt a mix of hope and resignation. She had waited for weeks and thought she hadn't seen Arjun since that fleeting glance. She couldn't help but hope he might be there. As the game began, she scanned the crowd once more, the last and final Sunday. This Sunday, Arjun was there. He stood up at the sidelines, seeming uninterested in the show. Tara's heart pounded as she watched him. She wanted to run to him, to bridge the gap that had grown between them, her mind racing. Their mothers nearby chatted, And once again, the question was asked.
He just
This time, the question felt like a lifeline, a chance to rebuild what had been broken. Arjun looked over at Tara, their eyes meeting across the field. He gave her a small, tentative smile. And for the first time in weeks, Tara felt the glimmer of hope. She smiled back, and in that moment, she knew that the story wasn't over. As December approached, the dance season came to an end. The show had provided a backdrop to Tara's emotional turmoil, a constant reminder of Arjun's absence. But now, with the season ending, she felt a renewed determination. The question that had started their friendship had resurfaced, and she held on to that as a sign that their bond could be mended. Chapter 9: The School Trip and Beyond. December brought a much anticipated school trip. Tara was desperate to be in Arjun's bus, and she made a spectacle of herself trying to achieve this. She pleaded with her friends, tears streaming down her face, and even resorted pulling at their arms in front of the entire school and teachers. It was a humiliating scene, and Tara could feel the eyes of everyone on her, judging her desperation. Arjun, true to his recent behavior, avoided her completely. He quietly slipped into another bus, leaving Tara to deal with embarrassment alone. She watched as he walked away, her heart sinking further with each step later. 1 month later, and both Tara and Arjun found themselves at a party. The familiar question echoed once more, this time from Tara's grandmother.
Why don't you two talk anymore? Why don't you left? To talk anymore?
During the party, one of the children, a friend of their brother's, remarked,
You both would make a great couple.
Tara felt her cheeks flush as she avoided Arjun's gaze. Pretending not to hear the comment, she spent most of the party ignoring Arjun, trying to maintain her composure. The Zyme encounter. As the party continued, Tara and Arjun were eventually sent off to Zyme, a popular arcade with the younger kids. Tara, dressed in a stunning pink dress with stylish cuts that accentuated her beauty, felt a glimmer of hope. Was her chance to finally talk to Maybe this was their chance to finally talk to each other. Arjun, in his usual white t-shirt, looked as relaxed and unaffected as ever. At Zyme, they moved through the arcade, the tension between them palpable. They didn't speak much, but their eyes met often, each stolen glance a reminder of the distance that had grown between them. Tara thought that maybe, just maybe, they could finally have a real conversation here. But just as it seemed that they finally might bridge the gap, their parents arrived. The moment was cut short, and it was finally time to leave. As they were about to part their ways, Tara felt a pang of regret. On January 24th, they were once again tied together by fate. Despite the circumstances, Tara couldn't shake the feeling that there was still something left unsaid between them. It seemed to determine to keep intertwining their paths until it finally was resolved. By the time the boards came around in March, Tara and Arjun hadn't seen each other for 2 months. Their encounters during the board exams were awkward and filled with tension. They never spoke to each other, avoiding eye contact and keeping their distance. However, seemed to have another fate. Every day after the exams, their mothers would wait together, chatting and catching up, while Tara and Arjun stood apart, pretending the other didn't exist. Despite their best efforts to ignore each other, their paths kept crossing. Their cars would often end up parked next to each other, a silent reminder of their proximity. Inside the exam halls, they frequently found themselves seated near each other, a cruel twist of fate that neither could escape. Each encounter was marked by a series of coincidences. They would enter the hall at the same time, leave at the same time, and even find themselves in the same corridors. Yet they remained silent, the air thick with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. The distance between them seemed unsurmountable, despite the constant reminder of their connection. The months following the boards were a time of healing for Tara. She focused on herself, trying to move past the pain of Arjun's rejection and their strained relationship. Slowly but surely, she began to rebuild her life, finding solace in her hobbies and spending time with her friends who supported her. By May, Tara felt like she was finally over Arjun. The memories of their time together still lingered, but they no longer had the power to hurt her. She was ready to move on, to let go of the past and embrace the future. Just as Tara started to feel like she had put Arjun behind, life threw another twist her way. The detail of the twist remained unknown, but it promised to challenge Tara in ways she hadn't expected. As she braced herself for whatever was coming, she couldn't help but wonder if her story with Arjun was truly over, or if fate had more in store for them. It was a bright Saturday afternoon in May, and Tara was nervously adjusting her hair. Trying to maintain her composure, she was meeting Arjun and his mother for an outing, along with their elder siblings. Despite her efforts to move on, the prospect of spending the day with Arjun filled her with a mix of excitement and anxiety. As they gathered in front of the haunted house, Tara noticed Arjun looking unusually tense. He was fidgeting and avoiding eye contact. His demeanor, a far cry from his usual confident self. Tara couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. They entered the haunted house, the air inside thick with an airy chill. The dim lighting and spooky decor set the perfect scene for the horror that awaited them. As they walked through the narrow, winding corridors, fake cobwebs brushed against their faces, and creepy sound effects echoed around them. Tara tried to engage Arjun in small talk to ease the tension, but he barely spoke. Instead, he kept glancing around nervously, as if searching for an escape route. The tension between them was palpable, and Tara's heart sank with each awkward silence. Suddenly, a ghostly figure jumped out from the shadows, startling everyone. Tara shrieked, clutching Arjun's arms instinctively. But instead of comforting her, Arjun looked terrified. Without warning, he mumbled something about needing fresh air and his heart and bolted, sprinting down the corridor.
Where did Arjun go?
He just left. He's been acting strange lately, always making excuses and avoiding us. I think he's scared.
Tara's voice trembled as she asked his mother, who seemed equally bewildered, trying to keep the mood light for the children. Tara led them to the rest of the haunted house, but her mind was elsewhere, replaying Arjun's abrupt departure. The rest of the experience was a struggle. The children were restless, and Tara felt the weight of their responsibility on her shoulders. She tried to keep them entertained, but her heart wasn't in it. After what felt like an eternity, they finally exited the haunted house and headed to a nearby cafe to calm their nerves. In the car, the air was thick with unspoken words. Arjun's mother, trying to break the silence, to Tara.
I have always wondered. You and Arjun, you spend so much time together. Your families are so close. Why don't you two talk anymore?
Tara's heart skipped a beat. It was the same question that had haunted her for months. The question that seemed to bind her and Arjun together in an unending loop of missed connections and unspoken feelings. Before Tara could respond, Arjun's voice cut through the tension.
Wait, Tara. Everything will. Hey, look ahead, gentlemen. We are not even in the same class anymore. Tara's a humanities student, and I'm a science student. We have nothing left in common or anything to talk about.
Tara's heart sank. The words felt like a final blow of whatever connection they once had. She forced a smile, nodded, unable to trust her voice. The truth was too painful to admit. That despite everything, despite all the signs and coincidences, she and Arjun were drifting further apart with each passing day. They arrived at the cafe, and Tara tried to engage with the children, but her mind was elsewhere. She couldn't shake off the feeling of loss and the ache in her chest. Arjun sat quietly, avoiding her gaze, and the distance between them felt unsurmountable. Chapter 12. As they left the cafe and headed home, Tara couldn't help but wonder if she and Arjun were truly destined to be together, or if their paths were forever diverging. Chapter 12. The school grounds were adorned with fairy lights and colorful decorations, the setting sun casting a golden glow over everything. It was the farewell day for the 12th graders, a day filled with mixed emotions, memories, and the bittersweet feeling of saying goodbye. Tara stood nervously by the entrance, adjusting her sari. It was a beautiful shade of emerald green with delicate golden embroidery. Her hair was styled elegantly. She felt a mix of excitement and melancholy. This was the last time she would be in the school, the place she had experienced so much, both good and bad. As she scanned the crowd, her eyes landed on Arjun. He was dressed in a sharp black coat, looking more mature and handsome than ever. Their eyes met briefly, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. Tara's heart skipped a beat, and she quickly looked away, trying to compose herself. The evening was filled with laughter, speeches, and performances. Tara and Arjun kept their distance, each lost in their own thoughts, but the evening brought them closer. As the night progressed, they found themselves standing near the refreshment table, the air between them heavy with unspoken words.
Hi, you look really good in that sari. Take care, Tara.
You too, Arjun.
They stood there for a moment, neither of them wanting to move, as if hoping that time could freeze and they could hold on to this moment a little longer. But reality had a way of moving forward, and they knew they had to let go. With one last look, they turned and walked away from each other, the weight of their shared memories and unspoken words heavy on their hearts. Tara stepped out of the school gates. She couldn't help but glance back one last time, hoping to catch a glimpse of Arjun, but he was already gone, lost in the crowd. The dreamlike sequence of dancing under the fairy lights remained a bittersweet memory, a reminder of what could have been. And as they both moved forward with their lives, the question lingered in their minds: what if things had been different? But for now, it was time to say goodbye and face the future, carrying with them the memories of a time when they both were tied together by fate.